Hello, Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon Pacific time and 3 p.m. Eastern. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. And I am proud to be sponsored by BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com, which is an online counseling service. They connect you with online counselors throughout the US. So if you are in, hi guys, if you are in a foreign country, you can get on there, fill out some information, and they will put you with somebody here in the US. Now realize, of course, there's going to be a time difference, so you're going to have to work that out with the counselor, but there it is. Also, aloha. Also, if you are in a rural area or if you're in a town and there's only one or two counselors and you do not want to see them, you would rather see somebody far away, or you are in a rural area and you don't want to have to drive like 3 hours to see the counselor that's nearest you, get on to BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. John's going to put it down in the description, and you can get connected with a therapist in your state. They are all licensed and they are all master's levels and PhD levels. So there that is, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Whew, okay, so let's get some stuff out of the way first. As you can see, I cut my hair. Yay! So that means that touring is going to be happening fairly soon. We're keeping an eye on the numbers and the variants and things like that. As soon as I deem it safe that nobody's going to get this stuff, if we do a little gathering, then we're going to hit the road again, which I am very, very, very excited about. And of course, nothing is where I left it. Okay, so let me get some of the announcements out of the way. As always, if you are interested in my books, they are available on Amazon.com. They're also on Audible. I do the reading because I have heard some vocal people that I just wanted to throat punch. So I do my own reading on my own books. So this is on Amazon. So it's You Can Lead a Horse to Water, But You Can't Make Him Cha-Cha, and What's Wrong with Your Dad. And yes, my newest book is going to be coming out this summer. I'm almost done writing it. Thank God. Susana Quintana, SusanaQuintana.com. You are still that girl. She is awesome. I love her. She's amazing. She and I are going to start talking again about possibly doing seminars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that we are going to hold on our own. But again, we've got to wait to see what the numbers are doing and if it's safe and all that sort of good stuff. So, and as always, Shahida Arabi, love this book. If you are going through abuse, if you've come out of abuse, if you're dealing with toxic people, The Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People by Shahida Arabi is amazing. It's got all sorts of journaling suggestions. It's got exercises to do. It's a great book. I just freaking love her. So anyway, okay, today's topic. Why do they have kids? Why do they do this? Because the original question was, I had posted a meme on Facebook, and it said, it was something about like narcissistic moms, right? And how they would treat other people's kids better than their own. And then somebody said, why in the world do they do that? I don't understand. Why do they have kids? Why do they treat strangers better than their own children? Whew, loaded question and lots of answers to that. So let's go back. Why in the world would a narcissist want to have kids? Because narcissists, short answer, and somebody actually put that underneath the meme, are crazy. They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They are. So they are not looking at children the way you and I look at children. We look at children as in, oh my gosh, I love them. I want to help grow them. I want to nurture them, and I want to free them so that when they go out into the world, they are able to flap their wings and fly and not go splat on the ground. So when you decide to have a child, a healthy, normal person goes, am I mature enough? Do I have the financial means to do this? Do I have the emotional capacity to be a parent? Because this is a huge responsibility, being a parent. It is. So narcissists don't go through any of that. So I know. What a narcissist does when they think about having a child is, what is in it for them? Remember, everything is an agenda. Everything, even having children, is an agenda. They never do things altruistically. Oh, I just said that word wrong. Altruistically, meaning it's not about them. It's because they want to have a child and they want to help grow the child. No. They don't do that. There is always an agenda as to why a narcissist or an abuser wants a child. So let's talk about some of the main reasons why they choose to have a child. In some cases, with the malignant borderlines, especially, they want somebody to love them. So they want to have a baby that is going to love them unconditionally. Okay, what they're also not seeing though is that they have to love that child unconditionally. And malignant borderlines cannot. Malignant narcissists cannot. They do not love. The narcissists do not. The malignant borderlines do not. When they slide down to that end of the spectrum, so remember, traits of all the way to malignancy. When they get down to that end of the spectrum, there's no there, and it's all ego, and it's all me, I, more. Okay. So in some cases, a malignant borderline will have a child in order to have someone love them unconditionally, and then that child is expected to meet all of that parents' needs, like emotional, physical, mental, the whole thing. And that's not fair to a kid. So the kid basically has a job when this person, this abuser, decides to have a child. So this child's job is to love this parent unconditionally, take care of them in old age. Literally, I've heard them say that. Other jobs, save the marriage. That's another, oh Lord. In working with couples, I cannot tell you the number of times I have had one or the other go, well, we need to have a baby right now. And in the middle of the, scream fest, oh, we need to have a baby right now because it's going to save our marriage. Wrong. You have a baby when your marriage is stable, because having a child upends your whole life. It's now no longer about you. Yeah, there's the key, isn't it? It's no longer about you. It's no longer about the abuser. It is now about the kid, and abusers can't handle that, and they get jealous of the child. And then, of course, children are a huge amount of work, and you lose sleep. The first 2 years of their life, you're not going to sleep. You're going to be waking up, doing feedings, doing changings, all sorts of stuff going on. Oh my goodness, allergic reactions. Holy crap. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all sorts of stuff is going to happen. And if your marriage is not on solid, and I mean rock solid ground, if there's any cracks in it, it's just going to push the cracks open bigger, and you're going to see it, and it's going to be a problem. That's not the child's fault. That is the parent's fault for not considering that and thinking that the kid was going to fix the relationship. That is not the child's job. Children do not pop out of the womb with a damn job. Their damn job is to be a kid. Don't get me started. Okay, too late. All right, so number one, they think that it's going to fix the relationship. Okay, if they're malignant borderlines. If they are narcissists, so many different reasons why they want to have a child. So, and I can speak from personal experience on this one with my dad. He had to prove he was virile. He was a Marine in World War II, and he had to prove that, his sperm were strong. And so he had as many kids as he possibly could. Did he like children? No. Did he like himself? No. Was he a good father? Hell no. Was he a good husband? Hell no. What the hell was he thinking? I don't know. Well, I do know. So anyway, that was part of his thing, is that he had to prove that he could. I can procreate. Look at me. I'm of this virile male. I can procreate. So that's from the male perspective. Okay. From the female perspective of a female narcissist, and sometimes with the male narcissist as well. Oh, goody. I have more people to control. I have more people that I can boss around. I have more people to do all the work for me. They literally look at kids as workers. Again, they have a job, even though this poor little kid has not, expressed desire to do any particular job. Now they have a job to take care of the narcissist parent. The narcissistic parent does it also to fulfill magic thinking in their heads. So in other words, they think that they are the best of the best of the best of everything, in every position, in everything that could possibly happen. So for them, it's an ego thing. It's like, well, I'm going to show you how parenting is done. I'm going to show you, this. I'm going to recreate a perfect family. Well, for any of us who have had children or raised children, that's not going to happen, because kids kind of have a mind of their own, and they're going to do their own thing, So the narcissist is looking to have this image, this, look at me, I'm the perfect dad. Look at me, I'm the perfect mom, and they're not, because they're not really spending time with their kids. So when the kid is little, and you got to get this, when the kid is little, the narcissist is sort of okay, sort of, not totally, but sort of. Usually when the kid is little is when they express the most jealousy of the child. because now the mom is having to take care of the kid or whatever. Or if the mom is the narcissist, they are expressing resentment. Oh my God, I've heard this come out of their mouth too. Well, this little brat stopped me from having fun. I'm sorry, you are the one that did not use birth control. So, how is it this kid's fault exactly? They're not verbal. Not sure about that. So yeah, so this kid stopped me from having fun. This kid made me quit my job for 2 months or however long the family, leave act is. Or this kid made me, this kid did this to me, this kid, this kid isn't just demanding and selfish. So they're projecting already onto this poor little innocent baby everything that they are. So, so that happens. The other thing that happens is the narcissists are sort of okay with the kid until the kid hits probably around 2, maybe 3. So the terrible 2s, frightening 3s, terrific 3s, whatever you want to call it. In that age range, little ones are pushing the boundaries, and no is their favorite word. And guess which word narcissists don't like to hear? Oh, that would be, I don't know, no. So they will look at the child as just, again, it's mind-blowing how stupid these people are. I mean, really, they think they're so smart. And I'm just like, oh my God, you are so stupid. They're doing it on purpose. They're doing it intentionally. They're 2. This is what 2s do. 2s say no a lot, even when they don't mean it, because they're playing with it. They're pushing the boundaries. They're exploring their worlds, and they're seeing where things are and how things go. But with a narcissist, if somebody does not ask how high when they say jump, they're going to start hating that little being, because again, we have no more meaning to them than this eraser tape. If I could find my pen, I would use my pen. But this eraser tape, we're an object to be used, and that includes their own children. So children to them are a means to an end. They're not because we have a maternal instinct or we have a paternal instinct, because there are great mom and dads out there that do have maternal and paternal instincts, that want to have children, that have a need, a desire to have the next generation, to raise, to mold, to help, to grow, to help this planet be sane. Yes, there are good parents out there. Thank you, Jesus, Bufa Baba, Buddha, whoever. There are good parents out there that have those maternal and paternal instincts. These people, and I use the term people loosely, do not have paternal or maternal instincts, because that's part of, say it with me, compassion. They do not have compassion. To be a parent, to have maternal or paternal instincts, you must have compassion. They do not. So they have children for all of the wrong reasons. And then they start resenting those kids for being kids, for taking up time, for, little kids are time intensive. They are. And it takes time away from the couple. And that's why I'm saying the couple has got to be rock solid, because this is going to be a strain on the relationship. It is, even in the best of relationships. So, okay. So then, as the child starts growing and developing their own personality, the narcissist will start resenting them more and more, and will start looking for ways to smush them. They do not like their kids to outdo them, do better than them, outshine them, etc. But yet, on the same hand, and in a completely crazy-making way, they will demand that the child walk this line of making them look good, right? But not outshine them. So they will give, quote unquote, love to the kid if the kid is making them look good, but how dare they cross that line into you have now outshone me. So a great example of that, which is actually going to show up in my next book, is when I was a kid, my dad bought a van, okay? And it came with cruise control, and the cruise control was malfunctioning. So we were on the highway, and all of a sudden the car started speeding up, and we couldn't disengage it. There was no way. Dad tapped on the brake, hit the brake, tried turning it off, the cruise control, nothing disengaged it, and the car would just speed. So my dad was panicking. My mom was panicking. I'm looking at the situation, and I said, Dad, throw it into neutral, turn off the car, glide over to the coast over to the edge of the road, and then that should disengage it, and then you can try turning it on again. Well, of course, he turned around and told me to shut up, that I didn't know what I was talking about, right? So the car is driving, picking up speed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And my mom and I just finally start screaming at him. We're like, do what I said. And mom's like, do what she said, that whole thing. I was 10, guys. I was 10. So it wasn't like I was even driving, okay? Not like I'd been practicing. I didn't start practicing until I was like 14, I think, 13 or 14 with a stick shift. Ooh, that was fun. Anyway, the point being is that, and I missed that car. Don't get me started. Anyway, so the point being was I looked at the situation and I knew what to do. He wasn't listening. Mom started screaming at him. I started screaming because I didn't want to die. And so he finally did what I said. It did. It stopped it. We pulled over to the side of the road. We sat for a few minutes. He turned it back on, and then the car was disengaged and it was fine. But at that moment, and I can pinpoint it, at that moment, he knew that I was smarter than he was. And he knew, or if not smarter, at least I had better common sense than he had. And that pissed him off, because from that exact moment on, I was the cute one, not the smart one. And he made sure to tell me every chance he got. Why? Because that threatened the hell out of him, that a 10-year-old could fix something that he couldn't. Common sense. It was common sense, really. It was like, well, how did you know to do that? I'm like, well, that was the logical thing to do. That pissed him off. So they cannot stand it when children show better common sense, intelligence, etc., outshine them, outdo them, whatever. If he were alive now, I'd love to see the look on his face, except that I can't stand him and I never want to see him again. So anyway, the point being is that they can't stand that, and they start smushing the kid, but then get mad at the kid when the kid doesn't, quote unquote, live up to expectations and or make them look good. So it's this crazy making situation that the child gets put into of, you better make me look good, but how dare you cross over that line and outshine me? So it's just, So what they will do, and this is the other crazy making thing that I've seen, narcissists, my dad did this too. They will throw all of their attention into total, complete strangers. So my dad would do everything for his church members, all the kids in his church. He would make sure they all had musical training. He would make sure that the choir all had music. He would make sure that they all had training in vocal coaches, this, that, and the other thing. Me, on the other hand, no. If I actually managed to get a vocal coach, he would then sit in on the lesson and tell me everything I was doing wrong. And he didn't know what he was doing. He did not know how to sing. So he thought he did, but he didn't. So anyway, so there was that. So that's what they do. They sabotage, but yet they will treat total stranger children like kings and queens. I remember when I was a kid, my girlfriends would come over and he would just go out of his way to be nice to them. Like, seriously. And I remember asking my mom, I'm like, what is up with this? He's treating Vicky and Kelly way better than he ever treats me. What's going on? And of course, my mother just kind of rolled her eyes and, change the subject. Okay. Because she was a target of his as well. And she came from a screwed up family. So she wasn't sure what was going on. So, but they do that. And why? Why? Because they hate themselves to the core. There is so much shame inside of them that's not, and it's not shame like you and I think of shame. It's this weird, they know they're wrong, they know there's something wrong with them, but by God, they are going to cover it up and take it out on everybody else kind of thing. So that kind of shame. So it's toxic. And so they hate themselves. They cannot love, period. And they cannot love anyone who is of them or who loves them. Let me say that again. They cannot love, period. They cannot love anyone who is of them because it's part of them. And they cannot love anyone who loves them. They hate people who love them, and they will punish people who love them. And what are kids? Kids are little bundles of light that just love. So therefore, hello, they hate them. I know. It's crazy. So yeah, they hate their wives, they hate their spouses or their husbands or whatever, because how dare you love me? How dare you try to give me grace? How dare you try to give me light? How dare you try to, there's this weird, it's weird. It's weird. So they love to hate. They love to hate. Let's just stop there. We love to, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We're done. No, seriously, it's like they love to hate. They hate anyone who loves them. It pisses them off when somebody loves them, like really. And they hate children because children not only love to love, they want to be loved. And by God, how dare you ask something of me? How dare you demand my attention? Which, hello, you have children. Good evening and welcome to That's Your Freaking Job. You had one job. Give them attention. Give them boundaries. Give them direction. That's your job. That's really it. Love them unconditionally. Hello, not that hard. Unless you're a narcissist who does not have a soul. Oops, did I say that out loud? Okay, whoops, revise that. Does not have compassion. I.e. a soul. Anyway, so the point being is that they do this because of them, not because of the kids. It's not anything we did. But I'll tell you something. As a child, having to grow up with that crap, it's really hard to not make it about us. Why? Because children are egocentric, meaning not egocentric like, oh, it's all about me. Blah, blah, blah. No, egocentric as in they have magic thinking and they think things happen because of them. They do. So, how many times has, something happened around a child and it has nothing to do with the child, but the child immediately goes to, it was because I thought I was mad at grandma and I wish she were dead and then she dropped dead. That's magic thinking. And that's how kids think, that they somehow created this or somehow made this happen. And they did not. So, but narcissists obviously love to project and they love to let kids think, and their spouse and anyone else they're targeting think that it's them. Oh, it's you, it's you, it's you, the you guns, right? 2 fingers pointed out, 6 fingers pointed back. So another reason that narcissists have children is to connect the target of abuse to them for life. So both male and female narcissists will intentionally get pregnant or get their partner pregnant so that partner is tethered to them for life, because that's what they want. They don't want to be alone. So, they want they want consistent narcissistic supply, and that's what they're looking for. So they will intentionally get pregnant, or they will intentionally impregnate a partner. And one of the ways they do that I've been reading a lot about recently is they pretend to have a condom on, or they do have a condom on, but in the middle of it, they take it off and, slip it off, that kind of thing. And then the partner gets pregnant. So, or they insist that the partner can't use birth control or whatever their little BS dance is, or they insist that, oh no, they really love children. So I have to get, in vitro fertilization, blah, 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 to get pregnant. Then they have the kids and then they basically release them to the wild and don't raise them. So that things that make my head hurt. I am not even kidding you. It's having a child is a privilege and it is a responsibility, and it is making sure that the next generation is sane. That's a huge responsibility that these people want nothing to do with. They want to look good. They want to have the fantasy of, look at me, I'm the perfect parent. Look at me, look at what a great parent. Look at how virile I am. Look at how many children I've had. Look at how fertile I am. Look at how many children I've had. Look at how perfect my family is. And that was, very much the communal narcissist. So, my dad would go to church 3-4 times a week, and he was telling everybody what a great family he had, but behind closed doors, he was an abusive bleep. You know what I mean? It's like, ugh. So yeah. And I wanted to read an article, where did I put it? From Psychology Today. And so when people end up, okay, so backing up, beep, beep, beep. So backing it up. So basically they have children for an agenda. They have children for the wrong reasons. They have children to secure a partner. They have children to secure supply. They have children to secure someone to take care of them emotionally, physically, mentally, and otherwise. So, somebody to take care of them in their old age, somebody to be the second spouse, somebody to be their therapist, somebody to be, you fill in the blank. That's why they have kids. They don't have kids to see how that little one develops and what their likes are and what they want and what they're going to do, and support them and cheer them on and be thrilled when they, are able to fly the coop and go live on their own and have their own children. I mean, that's what being a healthy parent is supportive and loving and kind and unconditional and great, go you, and you give them every opportunity. And when they succeed, you cheer. And when they fail, you cry with them, but then help them stand back up, and then, okay, they're going again. Yay. That's what a good parent does. But a narcissist or a borderline has kids to secure supply. That's really what kids are. And then when the kids become problematic, so like, and I've seen this 100,000 million times, the divorce happens, 50-50 happens, and one of two things happen. Either the abuser gives up interest in the kids because they really didn't have interest in the kids in the first place, and they start giving up more and more time with them, which is what you want. It doesn't always happen though. Or they fight to get the kids so that they can turn them against the other parent, which leads me into this next little article, The Real Effects of Narcissistic Parenting on Children. What did I do with my glasses? There they are. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay. Boop. Okay, this is from Psychology Today, and this was written by Carol McBride. She's a PhD. And it says the real effect of narcissistic parenting on children. So basically, she kind of goes into the description of what a narcissist is. And then how does this affect children? The child will not feel heard or seen. And that's true. I did not feel heard or seen when I was growing up. Absolutely. The child's feelings will be, in reality, will not be acknowledged. So again, I'm sitting there saying, Dad, turn off the car, put it in neutral, turn it off. No, you don't know what you're talking about. You're stupid. Shut up. That whole thing. It's like, I'm not stupid, and I do know what I'm talking about. Thank you. The child will be treated like an accessory for the parent or an object rather than a person. The child will be more valued for what they do, usually for the parent, or how they make the parent look, rather than who they are as a human being in person. The child will not learn to identify or trust their own feelings and will grow up with crippling self-doubt. How many times have we been told, no, our family's normal. No, everything's fine. No, you don't see the pink elephant taking a crap in the corner of the living room. And yet, we do see the pink elephant doing that, but we're told we don't, which then leads us to stop trusting our gut, which then grooms us to get with other abusers if we do not work on that original wound and fix the picker, the inner child. Does that make sense? Okay, so there's that. Hold on. There is more. Okay. Crippling self-doubt. Okay, the child will be taught that how they look is more important than how they feel, especially with a somatic narcissist one that's, you've got to look good, you've got to be the perfect weight, you've got to be the perfect height, the perfect everything. The child will be fearful of being real and will instead be taught that image is more important than authenticity. They will be liars. They will teach them to lie. The child will be taught to keep secrets to protect the parent and the family. How many times have I heard, oh my gosh. So in working with alcoholics, right, and drug addicts, I will start asking about family of origin, because there is a reason why we start drugging and drinking, because we're trying to numb ourselves from the dysfunction of the family. And what will happen is, if this person has not worked on themselves and worked on the inner child and worked on family of origin issues, they will start denying. My family was perfect. There was nothing wrong in my family. I just started using for no reason. Really? No, I don't think so. Let's dig a little deeper. And then, of course, as we start digging deeper, oh yeah, there's a lot of dysfunction there. And oh, isn't that interesting? Your family, your dad, your mom, set it up so that if you told, you got in trouble. Family secrets, that type of thing. The whole lie about, oh, every family is like that. My mom did that. My mom was like, well, every family is like ours. And I'm like, sweet baby Jesus, I hope not. So yeah, there is that. Okay, hang on. The child will not be encouraged to develop their own sense of self or self-will. The child will feel emotionally empty and not nurtured. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, I know you love me. Does Dad love me? And she couldn't give me an answer, because I think she knew. I do. I think she knew Dad didn't love anybody. So, but then children are not stupid. And this is something that narcissists do that really just makes me so angry. They talk about the child in front of the child as if the child were not there. I'm sorry, what? And so kids are not dumb. We're not dumb. We pick up on stuff. We pick up on energy. We pick up on facial expressions. We pick up on body language. We pick up on everything. And so the kid will start figuring it out. Hey, guess what? Mom and or dad don't like me. Wow, trippy. They're not stupid. We feel that. We feel that because we're empathic. We have empathy for ourselves and others. And so when they don't give us unconditional love, it becomes very obvious to the kid. They're not stupid, really, seriously. And it just drives me crazy when people act like kids are stupid. They're not. They may not cognitively be able to, vocalize everything because of development, but that doesn't mean they're not picking up on it. So the child will learn not to trust others. Well, yeah. How many times did our parents betray us? How many times did my dad play chicken with us in the car? How many times did, just an example. Yeah, you learn quickly not to trust anybody because it's like this one person who's supposed to protect you and love you and nurture you is doing everything they can to kill you. That, no bueno, no bueno. You know what I'm saying? Okay, hang on. And we'll get to the questions in just a second, I promise. The child will feel used and manipulated. Yes, because my dad would roll me out and show me off if I was in a production. Because remember, I did regional theater and things like that. And he would tell everybody how proud I was. But if I wasn't doing that and I wasn't making him look good, it was like I didn't exist. Like I never would have heard from him ever. Like he would call once a year. That's not a normal dad. Normal dads check in. Normal moms check in. Just, how are you doing? What's going on? My mom and I used to love to chit chat after my dad died. My mom and I would chit chat every single day almost, and definitely every week, So, and my sisters all do that with their kids too. So, yeah, not normal. Not normal. Not normal. Hang on. All right. The child will be there for the parent rather than the other way around, as it should be. The child will be parentified. The child will be the one listening to the parent. The child will be the one listening to the marital problems. Oh God, that is so horrible for kids. The child will be there for the parent, but the parent will never be there for the child. And that's not what being a parent is about. But for a narcissist or a malignant borderline, it is. Okay. The child will grow up feeling not good enough. Oh yeah. The child will not have a role model for healthy emotional connections. The child will not learn appropriate boundaries for relationships. The child will not learn healthy self-care, but instead will be at risk of becoming codependent, taking care of others to the exclusion of taking care of themselves. The child will have difficulty with the necessary individuation, yes, I said that right, from the parent as he or she gets older. So in other words, the parent will enmesh themselves with the kid. And this is where infantilization comes in, where the parent hobbles the child so that the child is unable to take care of themselves. They take over the banking, they tell them where to go, what to do, they get their hair cut for them. They infantilize them so that they're not adults. They're not adulting. They're not making adult decisions. Yeah, that's what they do. So there's that. The child will be taught to seek external validation versus internal validation. So what do other people think of you? That's where this whole external acceptance, codependency, I need outside approval, as opposed to, hey, I like myself, comes from. Because narcissists do not like it when their children like themselves, because children who like themselves don't put up with their crap. Okay, hang on a little bit more. And how are we doing on time? Oh yeah, okay, almost there. The child will get mixed and crazy making messages of do me proud as an extension of me, but don't you do too well and outshine me. I talked about that. The child, if outshining the parent, may experience jealousy, will experience jealousy from the parent and sabotage. The parent will sabotage the child so that the child doesn't do well. Hang on. The child is not taught to give credit to self when deserved. The child will ultimately suffer from some level of post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and/or anxiety. Hello, raise your hand. Right there with you. Okay. The child will grow up believing he or she is unworthy and unlovable because if my parent can't love me, who will? Oh God. Yeah. And especially if it's a parent of the opposite sex, and then the inner child starts picking, oh, this one reminds me of that. If I can fix that, then I prove this parent wrong. Nope, nope. Half of a doo-doo sandwich, half of a doo-doo sandwich. Oh, complete and total doo-doo sandwich. Don't do it. The child is often shamed and humiliated by the narcissistic parent and will grow up with poor self-esteem. Yeah. The child, because like I said, my dad afterwards made sure to tell me I was the cute one, not the smart one, because he was threatened by the fact that a 10-year-old knew how to save the situation. Common sense, not so common. Okay. The child will either be a high achiever or a self-saboteur or both. So alternating. The child will need trauma recovery and have to re-parent themselves in adulthood. Yes. Oy. So, to recap, malignant narcissists, malignant borderlines have children for an agenda. It's always an agenda. It's not because they want to have a child, because they love them and they want to nurture them and see them grow to fruition and healthiness. They have the child because the child has a job. The child is there to take care of them in their old age. The child is there to save the marriage. The child is there to make them look good, is there to fulfill some sort of weird magical thinking in that, I have the perfect family. I'm going to show you what a great parent I am. Look at how many children I am. Look at how virile or fertile I am. Or the child is had in order to connect the opposing parent to the narcissist or the borderline for life. That is what they are looking for. They are looking for narcissistic supply, and that's why they have children, to connect themselves to somebody for life. Wow, tripping. Anyway, so that was a good question, guys. Thank you for that. If you ever see anything on my Facebook page and you are like, oh, can you do a thing on it, a show on it? Yeah, absolutely. Just let me know specifically what you want to know. And this is why they treat us poorly and they treat other people like kings and queens, because we are not of them. They cannot love. They cannot love. And they cannot love anyone who is of them. And they hate anyone who actually loves them. And children are naturally loving. We are. So there it is. All right. Hope that answered the questions. Let's get to the other questions. Hang on. All right. Question. Let me get over here. Hold on. Okay. When they praise the child, want the kids to be great, is it just so they can have their parenting genes praised? Yes. How do you teach the child that they self are the reason they are great? Well, you keep showing them. You keep showing them. It's like, you did this. You're doing this. This is you. This is you doing this. So, for example, in therapy, I often have people go, oh my God, you saved me, you did this, you did that. And I'll look at them and I'll go, all I did was give you suggestions. You did the hard work. You did this. Can you see that? Can you see how you yourself did this? All I did was give you the suggestions and point you in the right direction. Thank you. Yes, I hear and I see my part of it, but you got to hear and see your part of it. So yeah, you just pointed out. So that's that. I can see the generational nature of the family dysfunction. I can see that my grandma had a full codependent personality, but how did that develop into abuse and cruelty with my mother? Well, nature, nurture, and who do you hang around? So oftentimes people who are codependent, if they are around an abuser, start doing reactive abuse and they start taking on fleas from the abuser and they start behaving like the abuser. Like, the abuser has a dark, snarky sense of humor. Pretty soon, the person who's around them all the time starts having this really dark, snarky sense of humor. They're taking on traits of the abuser. Why? Well, they're mirroring them, for one, because they're trying to stay safe. They're trying not to be the target of the abuser's abuse. And one way to do that is to mirror. And it's an unconscious thing. It's like a self-defense mechanism. It's like, oh, if I can make this person think that I'm them, then maybe they'll leave me alone, kind of thing. So hold on a second. Also, when people don't work on themselves, when people do not work on themselves, let me say that again. When people do not work on themselves, you are not magically going to get better. You are, in fact, going to keep sliding down the spectrum if you have traits of. So if there is a family history or a family of origin issue where there is codependency, it will eventually develop into abuse, because that's what the abuser is doing, if that's where the codependent came from, or the person who's got the codependency has got issues of their own that they have not dealt with. And so they end up taking it out on the safer target. So that is also why, stay with me on this, when kids go to that 50-50, 2552, I think it is, 5225, that's what it is, 5225, at least here in Arizona, they will come back and take it out on the safer parent. Why? Because it's not safe to confront the abuser. So they come back and they start acting out basically, and taking their anger out on the safer parent, because they know the safer parent is not going to beat them or shame them or abuse them or whatever. So that's why you've got to stay on that. You got to stop that. You got to put the smack down on it and be like, nope, you do not get to treat me that way. You will not speak to me that way. And here are the consequences. And then help them explain, help them understand. It's like, okay, well, what was going over at mom or dad's house? What was happening? Oh, well, they were shaming you and they were doing this, they were doing that, and their words, not yours. And okay, well, why don't you write them an angry letter and destroy it? I won't even see it. You write an angry letter and destroy it. Or why don't you crayon out what you're feeling, and then get them into therapy, for the love of God and all that's holy. So, but that's why kids act out when they come back from an abusive parent, because they're taking it out on the safer target. You're the safer target because you're the saner target. So there that is. Okay, can you give examples of how you see NARC's insecurity coming through in conversation in everyday life? Well, okay, they generally don't. So, okay, the different types of narcissists, let's talk about this. Different types of narcissists. We've got the overt, the covert, and the communal. And they can slide between those three, okay? So the overt ones, you recognize a mile away because they're constantly tooting their own horn. They're constantly like, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm fabulous, tell me I'm fabulous, I'm the best of everything, I'm the best of this, I'm the best of that, I'm, the best, the best, the best, the best. And their mask slips quite frequently. They show contempt for anyone they believe to be beneath them. So, which is everybody else on the face of the planet. So they're very grandiose, over the top, very loud, very, look at me, look at me, look at me, that kind of things. That's why they're called grandiose narcissists. That's overt. They're obvious to everybody. Covert narcissists kind of correlate with the hermit borderline personality disorder. So the borderline personality disorder archetypes are quiet, which take it out on themselves, the hermit, which tends to be the victim. Victim. Then you get into the queen, which is the control freak, and the witch, which is just the sadist. So with a narcissist in the covert one, they're always the victim. This always happens to me. Everyone's doing this to me. It's a lot of self-persecute, like persecuted, I'm persecuted kind of thing. Nothing ever goes right. I do all of this for you. You don't do anything for me. I'm such a wonderful person. I don't understand why I'm being treated poorly. They're always the victim, always the victim. And it's really insidious. It's not as constant as the overt one. It's more like a hit and run kind of thing, and they're not really obvious as to who they are until literally it's like the spider and the fly, until it's too late and the fly is dead meat, because they're so sneaky about hiding it. So kind of like, how do I explain? So they're really good at hiding and they're really good at mirroring. So Prince Hans and Anna from Frozen. So he was kind of covert, but then became overt when the mask slipped kind of thing. So, you like pizza? I like pizza. You like moose? I like moose. You like to ice skate? I like to ice skate. And so Anna is thinking she met her perfect match when in fact Hans' agenda was to get his hands, his hooks, into the kingdom and become the king of the kingdom. So, that's kind of covert, hiding what the real agenda was, Yeah, always the victim, mirroring you too much. I mean, it's normal to have some things in common. Like you meet somebody and you're like, oh, cool, you like this too. Great, awesome. You're a Trekkie, great, I'm a Trekkie. That kind of thing. But they're not going to match everything. And what narcissists tend to do is they over mirror, and they like everything you like, they like. Another weird thing I've seen them do is when they are, especially females do this, female narcissists, they will mimic the person that they're trying to target, even though they hate them. So they'll start dressing like them. They'll start cutting their hair like them. They'll start, talking like them. They'll start, because again, they're crazy. So, it's like they hate them, but they want to be them. So, whew, there's that. So let's see. And communal narcissists. Oh, communal narcissists are like cult leaders. Communal narcissists are like overly religious, go to church 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week, but make sure to tell everyone that they're going to church 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. It's like somebody who's really into religion does not need to announce that they're going to church 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. They just go. They just go because they like it. There's nothing wrong with that. But you will find with the communal narcissist is that they tell everybody and their dog what they're doing and how much they tithed and who they donated to and how they're helping the choir and how, my dad would do that. Or they are these guru, don't get me started, guru types that sit there and go, I am self-aware and I am woke. Oh, bitch, please. If you have to tell me that you are self-aware and woke, I can guarantee you are the polar freaking opposite. So yeah, you watch out for anybody who does that, because that is what the communal narcissists do. They try to make you think that they're this, I'm on a higher plane and I will lead you. Well, Jim Jones told everybody that he was on a higher plane, and he led them straight to death because he poisoned them with poisoned Kool-Aid. That's where the term drinking the Kool-Aid comes from. In can't remember where that was. Ghana, I think it was. So yeah. So you want to watch out for those types. You want to watch out for anybody who puts themselves above anybody else, who knows better than experts. That's another dead giveaway. When they start talking about, I know more than this, doctor or scientist or, counselor or whatever. Hello, Houston, you got a problem. So yeah, so those are some examples of how you can see their mask slipping. So because they can't help themselves. Their ego is so great, they have to let everybody know that they are the smartest thing on the planet, and they're not. And they show it by what they say, because they're so stupid. And so arrogant. That's kind of the thing, is that they're so arrogant as to think that they know everything. Nobody knows everything. If everybody knew everything, we would not be here. There would be no point of being on planet Earth except for the beautiful beaches and sunsets. So anyway, so there's that. All right. Is it common for a narc parent to have lots of children with different partners and abuse the children? Yeah, it is, actually. Yes. It feels like the youngest born gets abused the most, with the other siblings also joining in the abuse. Well, because that's what they're learning. So remember, kids are sponges. They learn from watching, and they learn quickly that if they beat up on a sibling, the parent leaves them alone. So they're willing to throw that poor child under the narc bus in order to stay safe. So that's why they do what they do. And it's incredibly common. And it is very common for narcissists to impregnate as many women as possible, because again, it's a point of pride for them, even though they don't want to take care of them, even though they don't want to pay for them. That's the other thing that drives me crazy. So you have these narcissists that, get their partner pregnant, and then when the child gives birth, they will demand a paternity test. I cannot tell you the number of times this has happened. And it's crazy, because it's like the partner has not been with anyone else. There was no possibility of there being another dad. And yet in their mind, magic thinking, they were like, no, she was whoring around, and obviously I'm not the dad, and blah, 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 because I'm not paying for that. But that was the whole motivation. They didn't want to have to pay, because money is everything to them. People mean nothing. Money means everything to them. So yeah, and then of course the paternity test comes back, and it's like, oh, guess what? So, but it's terrible, because then that poor child, and then sometimes they'll flip on a dime and go, oh, well, if I have custody, I don't have to pay. because they don't want to give money to the ex because the ex has figured them out and they're pissed off about that. But yet what they're not taking into account is, okay, you don't have to pay your ex child support, but you have a child to actually raise. Hello? And they don't take that into account. And that's oftentimes when these horrific custody battles happen and or child abuse happens. Oh, sweet Lord. Anyway, yeah. Okay. My narc ex is constantly telling kids how bad I am, calling me names. It upsets them a lot. How do I address this issue with them when they ask me why it happens without bad-mouthing him? You simply say healthy, normal people do not do that. That's all you got to say. Healthy, normal people do not do that. And you guys are great and you're awesome. And I love you very much. And you make sure you help them understand that just because the ex who is a part of them is behaving badly, that has nothing to do with who they are. Okay? Because what kids do is that they infer things. They're not stupid. Can I say that again? Kids are not stupid. They'll infer things. And so if, dad's saying these horrible things or mom is saying these horrible things about the other parent, well, that kid is 50% that other parent. So the kid's going to start going, damn, do they hate me too? And unfortunately, the answer to that is a resounding yes. But what you basically do is you point out this behavior is not normal, hun. Normal dads and moms don't do that. We don't. We just don't. We love you. I love you. They may not. You don't say that, but I love you. You're a wonderful person. And just because this person is behaving badly and says these things, it means nothing about you. That's what you got to get across to them. So yeah, you don't ever badmouth them. You don't ever badmouth them, but you do let them know this is not normal. And you make sure they get into a therapist. They are going to need to work on the trauma. They're going to need to work on self-esteem. They're going to need to work on boundaries. Does that make sense? Okay, what is your opinion on passive-aggressive parents? That's abuse. Passive aggressiveness is abuse. It's cowardly. It's instead of coming out and saying, I'm angry about whatever the issue is, they do these snarky little passive aggressive zings, hoping that the other person will be hurt or get it or whatever their damage is. So yeah, it's abuse. It's passive aggressiveness, it's cowardly behavior, and it's abuse. So yeah, absolutely. The quarantine where I live made my daughter live almost 90% of her time with her mother. The work, love and knowledge I gave to my daughter is being undone. She's 22. Advice. You just keep doing the same thing. You send her the books, you encourage her, you offer to go to counseling with her, see if you can set up maybe like online counseling that the two of you can do together in front of a counselor and work on your guys' relationship. There's plenty of ways around this. So yeah, the opposing parent is always going to undo any good that the other parent does. So the narcissist, the malignant borderline is going to undo whatever it is you're working on. If it's self-esteem, they're going to undo it. If it's boundaries, they're going to undo it. That's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. So your job is to just keep going. Don't stop, don't give up, and find different avenues to heal your relationship with your daughter. So, yeah. Is it jealousy that my mom tries to sabotage my marriage and tells my kids their dad is dumb? Or is it that she just doesn't want me to be happy? And the answer to that is D, all of the above. So it is sabotage. And she doesn't want you to be happy because no good parent would say something like that. So yeah, and you will often find narcissistic parents incredibly jealous of the relationship that the child has with a new spouse, because to them, they are the spouse. They should be getting all the attention. They should be, taken care of and loved and this and that and the other thing. So yeah, you will also hear the craziest things like, one mother-in-law wanted to sit in on the couples counseling. No, it's none of their damn business. The reason why is because they couldn't stand the idea of not knowing what was being said about them, because that is a typical narcissist crazy thing to do. So yeah, when somebody is bad-mouthing your spouse and telling the kids that, they're also harming the children. So there's some agenda. What's the agenda? What's the agenda? What's the goal? Trust your gut. trust your gut, and then act accordingly. If you were not related to this person, would you have anything to do with them? If the answer is no, act accordingly. You are not required to be around somebody who is sabotaging and or trying to ruin your happiness and or harming your children. No, 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 no. You don't have to put up with that. Absolutely. I missed part of it, but how do you help your children cope when they were born from a marriage, from a child marriage where one parent was an adult and the other was very young, but family blames the younger parent? Well, you get away from the family, number one, and you just get them into therapy and get them working on the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. You work on all, Who's Pulling Your Strings, Harriet Breaker. You work on all the books with them. You get them into therapy. You help them know who they are. Know thyself. When we know ourselves, when we know who we are, family, friends, whoever can come by and try to tell you who you are, but because you are grounded in self-esteem, you're able to go, consider the source and no thank you. So there is that. Okay. When does waiting to have a child become not having a child? I love actual healthy parents, children, people who are child-free. I respect all choices. I have been deterred by my past trauma into not having a child. I feel as though I protect my future child by not having it yet, feeling like I'll never be ready enough to have a child, especially with how the world is. So I would strongly suggest you get with a therapist. I really, truly do. I feel you. I was right there with you. And I chose not to. But, that's a good question. Did I just feel it was because of how the way the world was? Possibly. And I don't really miss not having a kid, but you know what? If having a child is important to you, get with a therapist. Work this through. Is this really your choice, or is this the fear talking? So for me, a lot of it was the fear talking when I was first thinking about, having kids, because I got married when I was 31. And so John and I talked about it, and we just kind of came to the conclusion. We were like, with your family and my family and the family history of the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, probably would not be a great idea to have kids, because in his family, there was some mental health issues. In my family, I think I told you guys this, my great-grandmother shot the arm off of my great-grandfather. There was definitely schizophrenia in the family. And I was like, I just don't want to risk it. So I decided not to. And I hear what you're saying, and I think it would be worth it to get with a therapist to really investigate this as to, is this because of your trauma? Is this because of future fear? Or do you really want to have a child and you're ready and you're just afraid? And work through that. Abso-freaking-lutely. Find out. Find out. I don't want you to have any regrets. Find out. Go find out. Absolutely. Is it normal to dissociate with trauma? Absolutely. Yes. So what happens is when we get traumatized, and actually I'm going to talk more about this next week, because next week I'm going to talk about trauma responses. Because that, again, I did a meme. Somebody was like, can you talk more about trauma responses? Yes, I can. So I will talk about this though now. Yes, it is normal to dissociate with trauma. And the dissociation can be anything from, I'm here, the lights are on, the engine's running, but I'm not really present, all the way to I'm here, the lights are on, the engine's running, and I'm in the corner of the room watching everything happen. So, the dissociation can be varying degrees. But yeah, we do tend to dissociate with trauma. And think about it this way. Depending on what our fear response is, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? A lot of times when people freeze, that is trauma, obviously, and that's a fear response. And it's kind of a dissociation because everything stops. Like, we can't function. We're just like deer in the headlights kind of thing. So yeah, it is normal to dissociate with trauma. It depends on what hiccuping. It depends on what your fear response is. And it depends on the level of trauma. It is absolutely 110% normal. And it's also normal to dissociate when we get hit with triggers. So that's why I want to talk about trauma response next week, because I think it's really important to understand you're not crazy. Can I just say that again? You're not crazy. So yes, it is normal to dissociate with trauma. Does everybody do it? No, but a lot of people do. So yeah, you're not crazy. This is one of the trauma responses that we get in response to trauma. So yeah, be gentle with you, my love. Gentle, gentle, gentle with you. Try to figure out what your triggers are. Try to figure out how badly you dissociate. Do you check out completely? Do you have blanks, or are you able to still be there but just be frozen? What's going on? And I would seriously get with a good trauma therapist. Look into EMDR, look into EFT, look into cognitive behavioral, look into dialectic behavioral therapy. Look into any of those. Those all can help with trauma. EFT and EMDR have been really helpful to a lot of my clients, and they do it in conjunction with either dialectic behavioral therapy or CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So yeah, I am starting to lose my voice. The pollen is insane. It's been insane this entire year, and it's just gotten worse because we've had these storms kind of come through, but they haven't dumped rain. They've just been blowing wind, everything. So it's like, again, pollen everywhere. So anyway, all right. So hope this answered the question on why narcissists will do what they do with kids. And next week, don't forget, we're going to be talking about trauma responses. And no, you're not crazy. So yes, we are going to have trauma responses. Trauma responses is next week. All right, my loves, have a great week. Let me find my cursor, and I will talk to you then. Bye.